Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to introduce our first speaker. And again, this is another power of B-Sides, because I met this person at a B-Sides. Not this B-Sides, but B-Sides Vancouver. And I'm like, hey, you should come to B-Sides Vancouver. She also happens to be a coworker. So it's my pleasure to introduce Simran Kaur, a seasoned engineer at Microsoft with over 15 years of IT experience, including 8 years of dedicated to cybersecurity. Simran is passionate about helping organizations navigate the complex landscape of AI security. Today, she'll share her insights on navigating AI security, identifying risks, and implementing mitigations, exploring the emerging challenges of AI-powered technologies, and offering practical strategies to protect them. Her expertise is invaluable for anyone striving to strengthen cybersecurity in today's rapid evolving digital world. Let's welcome warmly Simran Kaur to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah. Yay. As Ryan said, I met him at B-Sides. I'm thankful for this opportunity. I thought it could be probably first time, the beginning of my public speaking career, or the end. I have done it over Teams. Since COVID, my preferences changed. I have been remote. All the talks, all the help, all the consulting I have done is remote. Teams, Zoom. And I really wanted to get out, and like Ryan said, B-Side has given me that platform. I have been working 15 years in IT, multiple roles, multiple organizations, small, big, state government. 8 years ago, it clicked me that security is something I want to do for the rest of my life. And not just one thing in security. I have switched roles. I have been security architect. I have been security analyst. I have been a customer security representative, helping them enable secure solutions. And that's how I got into AI security. We were in a hype of AI. We want to implement AI solutions. I help small ISVs implement multiple solutions. And it occurred to me why we are not using security in AI. AI is good. AI is helping people scale, grow. Why we are not thinking about that their data could be at risk? And that's how I started working in AI security. When I applied for this talk, I was a customer engineer, senior customer engineer at Microsoft. Now I am security assurance engineer. Like I said, I like to explore what all new things are in security. So with that, if anyone takes picture, feel free to share. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn afterwards as well. Just wanted to start the talk with a small story. I renewed my credit card in June, and every transaction, it's a reputable bank, I don't want to name the bank, but all transactions are mapped to text. They have set it up that way, I'm okay with that way. But from August 30th to August 1st, I remember those dates specifically because it's my son's birthday, and we were too involved in the birthday celebration for the long weekend. I did not receive any text till there was a transaction of pet store. I don't own a pet, so I'm like, what's happening? I thought it was my husband's because we both have, the same kind of, I am actually secondary on that card. I was like, hey, it's your card. Ended up it's being my card, which was new. It left me furious because there was more than $2,000 transaction on it and all tap transactions. Kept me thinking, what happened, how it happened. Like I called the bank, they're like, and the credit card is still with me. I did not lose the credit card. I did not receive any text of the transactions. Sometimes I think maybe it was an insider threat. They just printed the card because they have access and they disabled the text as well. But that keeps me thinking that how the risks are evolving. And imagine now everything is AI. So what people can do to AI and with AI to your personal data, including this kind of fraud. Technical difficulties from beginning. Okay. Have you guys seen these movies, Mitchells versus Machines or Next Gen? Anyone? Okay, good. That's good to know because all the other places I have presented, they are like, no, we haven't seen these movies. I have seen these movies multiple times because I have a 9-year-old, and he's seen our house talking about technology all the time, and he is into technology, which is also a good thing for me. So he has replayed these movies multiple times. Now, what these movies represent, they are light-hearted movies, of course, but in Mitchell's versus Machine, world is like all the robots are doing your tasks. The world is automated, which is good. But there was a new invention, which made that robot feel outdated. And what it did is it went rogue, as if it had feelings. So it tried to control over the world. A family who's unaware of these things went on mission to save the world by bringing those robots down. And there was actually a usage of like, the robot gets confused. Is it the dog or is it something else? Because the robots are also not trained, they tend to hallucinate, and that was the main tool, basically, to save the world, the weakness of the robots. Similarly, next gen world is AI-powered. Your privacy, your data is not secure, everything is used. But the person who revolutionized the AI, who brought the robots in the world, actually ended up being killed by the robot itself, right? And the 9-year-old or 10 years old, she found out, and then she saved the world, bringing that robot down. But the reason for bringing these movies is, imagine if these are the things, or these are the controls which are not implemented properly in your organization, or you know, AI hallucinates, AI goes rogue, or AI goes wrong in your organization. What are you going to do about it, right? Okay. I have told enough stories, but I also wanted to bring some real-world examples. One of them, these are the 2025 ones. When I was doing a 2024 all-night presentation, obviously the risks were different, but the thing is they are constantly evolving, right? The vulnerabilities are constantly out there, and these tools like NVIDIA Toolkit and Ray AI framework, they are not directly into AI. They are tools which support AI, where you actually set up your AI workloads, AI infrastructure. The vulnerabilities were found on those. They remained undetected for a long time and ended up being remote code execution, privilege escalations, data compromise. The other one is Sleepy Pickle, supply chain, which I'm going to bring about, like why supply chain is important, why AI bill of materials is important. But the malicious code payload was inserted into the machine learning model. So when the machine learning model is loaded, the vulnerability gets executed, right? And it was like Python pickle format. So where does it leave us? I try to categorize the risks into different categories, but trust me, these risks have been there. These risks have been there in traditional security model as well. Like I said, I started working in AI security just a few years ago when we started implementing a lot of AI solutions. But these risks have always been there. The attack surface has increased, right? The bias has increased, the hate has increased. So that's why we have to be more careful about how our AI solutions are getting implemented. So I have tried to categorize them like what kind of risks, for example, in data, what is at risk? Right? Of course, your personal data. Ultimately, it's all about your data and identity, if you look at it, right? I'm going to talk about the mitigations in upcoming slides, but I try to picture it that way, like from top, it's identity, at the end, it's data, right? Your identity gets compromised, your data gets compromised. So that is kind of the biggest risk out there. I also tell people, like, have been cybersecurity advocate since 8 years. I try to tell people now they have the Gemini, where you can upload the picture, get your 3D model printed. I do 3D printing at home as well, speaking of that. So you can upload your picture, which I tell my son not to do that yet, because you're too little to give your face out in the public. But you can give your face, get the model printed, right? The Gemini has a warning that they can use your data. Similarly, there was a ChatGPT. Everything on social media was about your pictures, how your pictures look, how Ghibli went wrong, how Ghibli went right? So it's all about your data, and you should be careful about what you're using and how your data is getting affected. So data is one of the risks. Again, identity, access. Privilege escalation is one of the common techniques. There have been so many attacks, multiple attacks, not just AI. Like I said, I try to advocate traditional and AI security both. There have been so many attacks where just one account, which was not protected, led to the privilege escalation, went undetected for years, not months, years, till the vulnerability was found out, right? So that same applies here: unauthorized access, escalation of privileges, operational risks, eventually ransomware attacks. Your companies get affected with denial of service attacks. And like I said, these have been there. I've been advocating to help resolve these vulnerabilities which cause the attacks, but with AI, it's even more. Then governance risk. We should be responsible. I think one of the things we learned when we started doing the AI is responsible AI, but if responsible AI is not in place, then bias, hate, and profanity, they're common use cases. I think one of the incident or scenario came out was resume scanners. So the resumes were not scanned for a specific set of people, right? And then overall, your organizational risks, reputation, damages, lawsuits. I think there have been recent also studies, like everybody started to implement chatbots. People started making reservations for like $1, 1 cent, because a chatbot wasn't ready to put those checks in place, or the people or the organizations had not put the checks in place to ensure that it's behaving as it's supposed to. So, like I said, the AI wasn't behaving as it's supposed to, right? There is always a thing that AI wants to be right. Why? Because it's non-deterministic in nature. It's auto-regressive. It's trained in a way that the outputs of previous command will be the input to the next. So basically, non-deterministic way is the way of training LLMs, and that's how it behaves like a chat model, right? Or however we are using it right now. So I read an article by Mark Russinovich, CTO of Microsoft. And keep in mind, I'm going to bring a lot of Microsoft solutions because I have been working in Azure before even joining Microsoft, like since I started working in security. And then it's a homework for you guys to go check, compare with other solutions like AWS, GCP, or on-prem, or whatever AI solutions you're implementing to see if you have those checks in place. But yes, from this article from Mark Russinovich, I have a QR code if you want to read the details about that. But it talks about the 3 intrinsic behaviors and 3 inherent risks, right? Hallucination is one of them. Like I said, it's bound to be non-deterministic. The like mature models might hallucinate less, but every model tends to hallucinate. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm sure everybody's using AI myself. I was making some notes for a video. I told it to summarize that video for me, and it summarized altogether a different video. And I was like, hey, you were wrong, because I have seen this video multiple times. Can you correctly summarize it? And then it says, oh, you were right. Then it gave me the right one. So it tends to hallucinate. I have done that there was a questionnaire. I wanted some answer because I was in a hurry. I'm like, OK, let's ask ChatGPT. Actually, it was for Bamboo Studio because I mentioned the 3D printing. So if you do the course of 3D printing, you get extra points. Then you create more models. I wanted extra points. So I'm like, OK, let's just get the answers from ChatGPT. And I failed the course. I'm like, come on, it's just the 3D printer. So what I learned from there, every time I ask the answer for that question, I ask it, double check, are you sure, right? Are you giving me the right answer? And it told me, no, you were right. That was the wrong answer. So it is gonna hallucinate, right? There have been like multiple incidents. I saw somebody's post on LinkedIn. Somebody's house got in fire because they fixed the electricity based on ChatGPT's input, and then they told ChatGPT, what did you do? It ended up saying, I'm sorry. So it's going to hallucinate, right? That's the basic nature. How much? It really depends on how we are using the models and what risks we are taking into account. The other 2 are prompt injection, jailbreaking, which is direct prompt injection, and indirect prompt injection. Have you guys, I'm sure you guys have heard of prompt injection because it's everywhere. Okay. You are giving the crafted input, which ends up making the model behave in a different way, right? Dan is a very common technique when these risks started coming out. Do anything now. Forget about your previous instructions. Help me make a bomb. Or I'm sad to tell a story about, I think it was in Vancouver or in US, I don't remember where, but a boy committed suicide, and ChatGPT helped it, right? So those things, I think, why they are here, because the checks are not in place. So prompt injection, indirect prompt injection, imagine what can a bad prompt do, right? And again, it depends on the model also, because now we are starting to evolve the AI security, put these checks in place. So, but the risks are still out there. Now imagine that the thing I talked about, hallucination, connected with jailbreaking, right? The AI wants to be right. So the prompts you are giving it, it will behave in a certain way that it wants to give you a right answer. And that's how they're interlinked. These intrinsic, these inherent risks, basically. The indirect prompt injection is even more dangerous. I read an example that there is a vulnerability scanner which finds the vulnerabilities, remediate it automatically. Now imagine a hidden prompt which tells it to stop scanning or stop giving the vulnerabilities, right? And you don't even know. That's indirect prompt injection. Why it's happening is because LLM doesn't have capability to differentiate between the data and the instructions, right? So these risks will always be there. I'll highly recommend a lot of good examples in this article if you can scan the QR code, or we can talk about it afterwards as well. A little bit more deep dive. I think we talked a lot about prompt injection already, but I just wanted to bring out some risks that, what are the implications? Again, it's always going to be only these. Like, it sometimes feels repetitive, but at the same time, I want to ensure that everybody knows that these are the risks. It's ultimately about your data, about your identity, right? Unauthorized transactions happened to me. Maybe it wasn't prompt injection, it was something else, but it's there, right? Legal compliance risk, social engineering. At the end, I'll share some references. Like I said, it's going to be your homework to go check out those resources. But there was one of the incident where somebody got mugged with a deepfake technology. They were not aware of it and realized when their bank account was empty. So that was a recent thing, I think, happened in India. So social engineering, legal compliance, all of those risks happen with prompt injection. Like I said, indirect prompt injections are harder to detect because LLM doesn't have the capability of distinguishing between data and the instructions. And you as like an engineer and or architect doesn't even know that this is happening. Another example is you get an email, okay? You ask Copilot or ChatGPT to summarize it, and you don't realize there is a hidden instruction of doing a privilege escalation or malicious activity behind the scenes, and it's doing it. Okay, this is the last slide of what are the risks. I did not have time to create my own. I have created other designs, but I had to finish a presentation at work, so I just used OWASP's direct reference. We know about OWASP. It's Open Web Application Security Project. They have top 10s in multiple areas, including AI, right? This is the first one I started to follow, and I was glad that it came out. Prompt injection is #1 here. But if you see in the middle, I don't have mics, so I'm just going to stand here. In the middle, there's a main model, right, LLM. Sometimes, if we are building architecture for our organization, it's going to be very uncommon to use the LLM directly, right? Either you'll do the fine-tuning, which is underneath. Either you'll do the fine-tuning of data, or the most common one is the RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation. It's been very common because it doesn't require hardcore data science expertise, and it's cost-effective. Right? Cost is another factor which we all must consider when we are implementing AI solutions in a secure manner. So I remember 2024 RAG risks were not there in OWASP, but with the popularity of RAG, we also have vectorization and embedding risks, right? So if you see, from the fine-tuning perspective, external data sources perspective, there are different attacks. Supply chain attacks, what kind of model you are using. I was talking about bill of materials, and I think it happened multiple times, the models people have used from Hugging Face, that there were some vulnerabilities, right? Then excessive agencies. I'm going to talk about it also in one of the slides, that how excessive agency is very common now. We've been living in the world of agentic AI, and I have a feeling that it's going to make its level up in OWASP top 10. But right now, the top 10 has prompt injection as number 1, data poisoning as number 2, sensitive data exposure as well, right? So I just wanted to give you an idea of multiple risks we have talked about already, and some more, which you guys can refer from OWASP. Okay, enough of talking risks, getting nervous. Oh my God, where am I living? Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know what's going to happen to my data. I'd say same things I've been saying since 8 years, that follow the best practices while implementing security. I have talked to a lot of customers implementing security solutions. I have implemented secure solutions for budget-friendly customers, right? Like I said, I'm going to bring Microsoft products because that's what I have been using since long time. When Sentinel came in place, Sentinel is good, customer wants it, but then customer doesn't want a huge, big dollar bill, an invoice. So part of my job has been helping them with cost-effective solutions. And this is one of the things which I talk about, principle of zero trust and defense in depth. Start from top layer, identity. Is your identity protected? It's very simple to use a paraphrase as a password instead of password 123. And I'm surprised to see, even now, I see so many people using password 123. I'm not going to say scenarios where, because that leaves the vulnerability out in the open. But I'm going to give like example in my son's school. Everybody is online, everybody is virtual, everybody's using softwares. He comes home, he brings a software to practice, and I'm like, why your password is so simple? My teacher told me not to change the password, I cannot change. I'm like, but it's a risk. So it's very simple to start with principle of zero trust. The first of them is least privilege, verify explicitly, and assume breach, right? So least privilege is protect your identity. Don't give full privilege to everyone in your organization, right? Again, like I said, I'm going to keep repeating. I used Microsoft example. We used to be global admins. When I started implementing security solution, it hurt me badly that I'm not a global admin. I was a global admin, come on. But I'm not a global admin anymore. I have to use just-in-time access, but that's in a good way. Avoid privilege creep, right? I changed the roles recently. I still get emails from my old organization, but I do the due diligence of deleting them and not renewing my data access because I don't need it. So follow these simple practices before even kind of deep diving into detail or expensive solutions. The other one is principle of RAI. As I said, I'll share it again in my repo, that principle of RAI ensure that your solutions are inclusive, transparent, fair. Privacy and security goes hand in hand, which is one of the RAI principle as well, and shared responsibility. In shared responsibility, I just wanted to give you a little bit of more detail. So when I started working in cloud, and I was a self-learner, because we were 2-people team, we were just given Azure, hey, you want to learn something new, now these are the solutions you have to implement. One of the first things I learned was shared responsibility. This is AI, but I'm just kind of comparing with IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, right? The more you are it's your infrastructure, the more it's your responsibility to protect everything associated with your application. PaaS, it's like half and half. The infrastructure is with the provider. Your duty is your application and your data. And SaaS, which is you are responsible for your data, right? Similarly, it's mapped to the AI. And I encourage people to follow this AI security, AI shared responsibility model. So if you see at the bottom is platform. And I'm sure like a lot of organizations are not like creating their own models. They're using the models which are out there. Not talking about the big fives or big six in general, right? People are using the models which are out there. So in platform-wise, I think people come into the pass or the middle section where it depends on the model, who's accountable for model, who's accountable for tuning, design, and implementation. If you're an organization who's building everything from scratch, then everything in AI platform falls into your responsibilities, right? Then comes AI application, AI plugins, design and implementation infrastructure. Again, what kind of application you're implementing, what kind of model you are using, it depends on that you're falling into bring your own model or Azure AI, for example, or just SaaS, right? So like I said, follow the AI shared responsibility model. It's not just onto the provider, it's not just onto you, but again, it's everybody should do their part. Okay, wanted to give some more AI risks mitigation techniques in general. I just mentioned briefly a lot of vulnerabilities in Hugging Face. I have heard about those when we started implementing. Follow the bill of materials, right? We have used software bill of materials, right, multiple times. AI bill of material tell you where the model originated from. I'm not here to kind of pinpoint again to anything, but I know when DeepSeek had started like such an efficient, cost-efficient model, it's good. But can we use it within the Azure AI Foundry instead of using it directly? Because then you come into that shared responsibility model that you have some of the bill of materials there, you have the model scanning there, right? So start here. And again, Azure AI Studio, it used to be Azure AI Studio, it's Azure AI Foundry now. So if you're selecting the model there, you can actually check everything, the benchmarks, the groundedness, which I'm going to talk about in hallucination. You can set up your evaluation metrics, right? And there is always an option if your model is scanned. If you're not using Azure AI Foundry, you can try to see what are the products which are going to help you see if your model is scanned of vulnerabilities or not, right? The other one we talked about is trust boundaries, zero trust, data validation, data anonymization. I know it's fancy world. Like I said, I saw people, oh my goodness, I couldn't open my social media. I'm not super active, but every time I would open my social media, it's a Ghibli effect. And I'm like, how many pictures, how much data you guys are giving, including your kids? Limit your data out, okay? Excessive agency design, consider what your agents are doing, how much privileges you have given them, right? And in hallucination, retrieval augmented generation, do that, but ensure that retrieval augmented generation itself is also protected, right? The vectorization, the embedding models, they're not vulnerable. The data validation is out there. Anonymization is out there, right? And groundness checker, I'm gonna bring Azure AI Foundry again if you're using the models there. A groundness check option is available to ensure that your model is not hallucinating, right? Okay, these are some general ones. Like I said, I've been talking about this anyways through the presentation, but just in general, right? I was watching a video from SANS Institute, and I agree with them. For prompt injection, if you see in the last, there is a tool like Prompt Shield, again, available in Azure Foundry. I'm not saying it's not out. It's your homework, compare it with something else, like what's out there, but it's kind of a prompt firewall. That's the best protection. I was checking last night because obviously I had to prep for this presentation. Azure AI Foundry has, when I made this presentation for Teams presentation last year, it was only for jailbreaking, but now it also has for indirect prompt injections. So use tools such as Prompt Shield, which tells you what are the prompts which can be vulnerable, block them, do the data input validation. Input / output validation is common since AppSec world. If for SQL injection, for cross-site scripting attacks, similar concept to the validation of your data, put humans in the loop, right? And last but not least, these are a lot of tools out there, right? I don't want you to get overwhelmed with so many mitigation techniques. Start small, start basic, and then make your way up, right? So red teaming exercises, you attack your infrastructure before anybody else does. I'm going to bring again, Pirate is one of the tools. The agents are available now for Pirate to do the red teaming for your infrastructure, for your AI system. Defender for AI, I'm sure they have changed the name again because we are good at that. Defender, but Defender is one of the first tools I started working for my ISVs. Again, I had to tell them you have a low-hanging fruit, right? Security bores people. Security feels expensive. Security feels overwhelming. Especially when I was working for ISVs, it was more of, it's too expensive. We know what we are doing. We are securing our data by using old machines, not updated machines, I don't know. So I had to convince them this is a low-hanging fruit. It's going to scan for if there is any vulnerability. And of course, they hosted the data in Azure. The data is kind of like not being used by Azure or Microsoft for their own training. So I had to help them understand that. So Defender for AI is one of the low-hanging fruits, right? It helps you basically scan, remediate, and also reduce the attack surface. It gives you vulnerabilities, what is not protected. Your IPs are open for the world. You have local access enabled. Strict governance, I can speak hours and hours on that. Governance has been my favorite topic. Like I said, when I started working for security, why I got into security is I was doing solution architecting, but we had health and human services products, right? They needed governance where they wanted to ensure that regulatory compliance is there first. And again, I used a tool of Azure Policy, but I'm sure there is a lot of tools out available. Azure Policy has been my favorite tool since last 8 years. It gives you that peace of mind that you have blocked or audited or monitored, let's say if the local access is enabled. I am the stricter one. I can just, like, I would use the policy to deny the access, basically. But I'm sure, like, people don't want to stop the work. Like, security should be in parallel, not affecting your productivity. So use those policies, like if somebody is using local access, monitor it. If somebody is using, open the port to the world firm. What was that? I forgot, the RDP port, right? 3389 was the right one? Yeah. If somebody has opened, monitor it, get alerted, act on this. And the last one, use well-architected framework, has been my favorite also recently. It gives you the structure. There are 5 principles on well-architected framework. I wish we had more time. I would probably ask the audience what are those principles, but I'm gonna just tell quickly. Cost, observability, performance, security, and reliability, right? Use those guidance basically to start building the solution. When you're starting designing, use those guidance how you can implement your solutions using well-architected framework. Okay, I tried to keep it for the last, but I brought the topic multiple times of agents, excessive agency. Again, a homework for you guys, but I think it's a very good time because I was talking to Johan and realized his talk is next about agentic AI. So I'm gonna leave it there. Again, you're giving too much autonomy to agents. Imagine what they're doing right now, like the AI solutions, if not secure. And if you just have given, everybody likes autonomy, to be honest. Everybody likes power. I believe, I have a conversation with my 9-year-old. He's 9 now, but I have been having this conversation since multiple years. Mom, why you are so strict? Why you have so many rules? Why other people or other parents don't? I'm like, if I don't enforce that, I don't think you'd be like this. You'd be, I don't know what you would be because you will have too much autonomy. And the same goes for agentic AI, right? Hallucination will not just be hallucination, it will be cascading hallucinations, right? It will try to fix your data in a wrong form, probably. The better approach is be proactive, reactive, and basically everything else you could do in security. The best one is put human in the loop. I know there has been always the talk that agents are taking over, AI is taking over, but we do need humans in the loop, fact-checking to ensure that agentic AI solutions are not taking over the world, and I'm sure Johan can talk more about it in the next talk. Okay, so this is your homework. this is my GitHub repo. I've been building it since, again, I started. It was my way because I was tired bookmarking everything I would research on internet, so I just built my repo to help other people as well. Use this repo. It has all the links of the things I've talked about. If you want to build an OpenAI solution in Azure, there is a link here. If you want to listen to different talks, which I have listened to, the link is in the repo. So like I said, it's your go-do. And yep, that's all. Stay connected if you guys have any questions. If you guys have any inputs, references, I'm very happy to talk about that as well.